I'm just asking again, can we just say once and for all whether or not the cocaine belonged to the Biden family?
So, a couple of things there.
Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. In today's episode, we're covering a variety of hot button issues, from Republicans opening up an investigation into the cocaine that was found in the White House, calling the whole ordeal shameful. You also have YouTube saying if you misgender somebody, you're now in violation, but if you want to show off your genitals, that one's okay. The New York Times is offering solutions to colleges to help them circumvent the recent Supreme Court decision on affirmative action because they didn't get their way. You also have students in high school misgendering the LGBTQ community and being suspended for it. And lastly, we have a bonus clip for you from Piers Morgan's Uncensored, all talking about should women have the right to vote. Folks, we're going to get into it all today. Before we jump into anything, though, support a true American patriot by hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short, sweet comment down below. The question of the day is a doozy, folks. Should women have the right to vote? I look forward to hearing your responses down below, and I'll give my response to all of that at the end of today's episode when we cover that bonus clip. And also, get yourself a copy of Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Folks, you're seeing what they're doing in real time. You're seeing how they're destroying this country from the inside out in the same way the Greeks destroyed the city of Troy from the inside out. Pick yourself up a copy today. Links are all in the description. And head over to baldbrad.com. Get yourself some merchandise, folks. It's a phenomenal website. You're going to love it. We got t-shirts, hoodies, and we got Bald Brad Show mugs, folks, with our logo on the front and the American flag on the back. You've never felt so patriotic drinking out of this mug. Get yourself one today. And speaking of patriotism, we got an awesome community here on our channel, and boy, oh boy, are we building a great one of patriots. Become a patriot today by joining our membership down below, folks. We got a lot of people in the live chat in the comment section that would love to engage with you, and I would love to engage with you as well. I'm here with you every single live stream, every single episode. Become an American patriot today by hitting that join tab. We would love to have you. Well, folks, to kick off today's episode, top Republicans are announcing investigation into cocaine at the White House, and we'll also hear Karine Jean-Pierre's answer to this whole thing from the most recent press briefing that was just a couple hours ago. Well, Representative James Comer announced on Friday that the White House Committee on Oversight and Accountability would be investigating the circumstances surrounding the discovery of cocaine at the White House on Sunday. Again, Karine Jean-Pierre was given a layup of a question, you guys. Wait till you hear her answer. It's head spinning, it's baffling, but we shouldn't be surprised because it's typical coming from her. She does give an answer, you guys. Oh, does she give an answer? Comer, chair of the committee, announced his intentions to investigate the incident in a letter to Secret Service Director Kimberly, Sheetal, saying that there are a number of security concerns to be probed after the illegal drug made it past security. Not wrong. Quote, this alarming development requires the committee to assess White House security practices and determine whose failures led to an evacuation of the building and finding of the illegal substance, Comer wrote. The presence of illegal drugs in the White House is unacceptable and a shameful moment in the White House's history. I think this is a good move to put in an investigation and ultimately find solutions to this, because whoever's president, Democrat, Republican, doesn't really matter. This is a huge security breach, because if there's a foreign substance like anthrax that could seriously harm not just the president, but other White House aides or workers, I mean, that's a huge problem. Or putting in something even dirty that ends up being contagious like a virus and it's spreading from one person to another person. So I love that they're doing this. It's very similar to how auditing's done, looking at practices of businesses, seeing what works and doesn't work, and ultimately doing a review and saying, hey, this is what we think should be changed. This is what we think should be implemented. I'm sure the Secret Service is going to be doing this as well, and maybe reaching out to other agencies to see how they can fix this and not allow it to happen again. But I'm actually for an investigation. I think looking under the hood on things and trying to figure out how we can come to better solutions to protect people in the White House and specifically our president is a good move. Comer noted the committee had widespread investigative authority to look into any matter at any time. Congress funds White House security procedures, and the Secret Service has responsibility to maintain effective safety protocols. 100% agree. This incident and the eventual evacuation of staff now clearly raises concerns about the level of security maintained at the White House. Comer said in a statement, the committee has oversight jurisdiction over the U.S. Secret Service operations, and I look forward to additional information from Director, I think it's Sheetal. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. The story keeps changing, you guys. It went from like found in the library to a high trafficked area where, they frequently do tours with the public. And then it wasn't in that entrance. There's two entrances into the West Wing. Then it was in a different entrance to where you have to have basically clearance. You're probably a known worker of the White House, or maybe you're part of the press or somebody that can bring in family members or friends to conduct a tour that way. Then it was found in a cubby. I mean, it keeps changing time after time, and you can never get a real response from the White House, which is why it's prompted the press to ask Karine Jean-Pierre time and time again about details regarding this whole thing. Jake Sullivan was on right before her. He was asked about this whole thing as well. And they keep going, oh, well, it's under investigation. It's through the purview of the Secret Service. Well, then don't be offended and don't be bothered when you continually get asked questions for details because they're not getting anything from anybody. Very similar to what we saw from the Twitter files, where she lied to everybody saying she knew nothing about all these classified documents that were left all around Joe Biden's residence, his freaking garage, and everywhere else. And they weren't getting any information. Go, oh, well, go to the White House counsel about it all. They weren't getting any answers. And then they were being told, oh, go to the DOJ. They weren't getting any answers. They're being told, go to the Secret Service. They're not getting any answers. So they're trying to raise this here. And she's asked point blankly, hey, can you just finally tell us, is it one of the Biden family members' drugs? Folks, hope you're sitting down for this one.
Hi. I'm wondering if you have any comment about recent crime in D.C. It's raising rates. We've lost an SIV applicant from Afghanistan in the most recent killings. Really tragic. Wondering what the White House has to say about that. And then secondly, sorry to bring up cocaine again, but there was a question yesterday during the press gaggle with Andrew Bates that was, I guess, he said that he was avoiding it because of the Hatch Act. I'm just asking again, can we just say once and for all whether or not the cocaine belonged to the Biden family?
So, a couple of things there. He mentioned the Hatch Act because the question was posed to him using Donald Trump, and so he was trying to be very mindful. Okay, I hear you, but you're asking me a question, so I'm answering it for you. And so that's why he said the Hatch Act. So I would, have you read the transcript and read the transcript fully so you can see exactly what he was trying to say. So that's number one. So we're not avoiding the question. That is not true.
We covered that in yesterday's episode, and I highly recommend you go check that out because you didn't cover the answer. You didn't talk about the answer. You spun it in some rando direction. We covered that here, but I'm sure they talked about it because there's a huge gaffe for them, similar to the ways that they covered the gas for the president of the United States that's constantly fumbling through his words, falling up a flight of stairs, falling downstairs, tripping over a sandbag. I mean, you name it, he's done it. They're constantly trying to cover up things. Now they're trying to cover up this whole thing as well as the gaffe yesterday regarding the Hatch Act.
True. We've answered this question, litigated this question for the last 2 days exhaustively. There has been some irresponsible reporting about the family, and so I got to call that out here. And I have been very clear. I was clear 2 days ago when talking about this over and over again as I was being asked a question. As you know, and media outlets reported this, the Biden family was not here. They were not here. They were at Camp David. They were not here Friday. They were not here Saturday. They were not here Sunday. They were not even here Monday. They came back on Tuesday. So to ask that question is actually incredibly irresponsible. And I'll just leave it there. Okay.
She doesn't answer the question, you guys. It was a layup of a question. You didn't have to ramble about that of, oh, it's irresponsible, it's terrible reporting. You didn't answer it. It's easy. The answer's no. You could have just said no, unequivocally, 100% guaranteed, not any member of the Biden family's drugs. But she didn't, so you just leave it open. And she's a knucklehead. She can't figure out, oh, why are people writing all these stories and, kind of these conspiracy theories about whose it is and whose it isn't. Because you don't answer the question, lady. No, duh. Oh, well, we've been exhausting every question here and giving every possible answer. I was being transparent and clear. No, you weren't. We were all here together. We sit here together as a community. And we look at you every single day and we all leave the same comments. Me and my audience, you don't ever give answers. You guys, somebody actually went through the tape and found that she only answered 2% And I think that was being generous. 2% of answers regarding secret information about the Biden scandal or any sort of information regarding the Biden scandal. 2%. That's terrible. Why have a press briefing? That means there's briefings where literally you don't answer any questions from anybody, but you'll take them. How is there not an uprising from this press? Why are they not banding together as the White House correspondents and going, screw this crap, let's send a message, lady. You're not answering our questions. We're not showing up today. All pretend like you're going to show up, or sit down and then all walk out at the same time, have somebody wait and say, hey, you know what? We're not doing this because you don't answer our questions. You give us answers, but only questions you came up with out of your own damn head. I can't believe she didn't answer this layup. Well, they weren't here. Just because they weren't there doesn't mean it hadn't been there for a few days. And I love how, it's an irresponsible question. Is it when Hunter Biden was an addict? Smoking crack cocaine? We showed that picture yesterday. He's sleeping with a pipe still in his mouth. But it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible reporting. I think anybody could testify here that's an audience and a long-time listener to the Walt Brad Show. I think I've been a pretty good advocate of the press. Am I not right? I've advocated for them. I spotlight specific people because they have great questions. But they don't even take everybody's questions. James Rosen yelled at Jake Sullivan when he was walking off the stage saying, hey, there's more than 5 rows, because Jake Sullivan would only get questions in from like CNN, MSNBC, the front 2 rows. Doesn't ever want to go to the back where a lot of great questions come from. James Rosen's one of them. Let me know what you think about this, folks. I'm sure you got a lot to say regarding this lady. Let me know what you think about them doing a protest and walking out on her. I'd love to hear your take on that one. Well, moving into our next story of the day, things just keep getting crazier from YouTube, and these big tech companies want to censor you in any way that they feel fit. Because now if you misgender somebody, you're in violation of YouTube's guidelines. But exposing genitals, apparently they don't care about that. So YouTube has determined that uncensored footage of male genitalia does not violate its terms of service, but misgendering does. Why? Because they love showing pee-pee and private parts to little kids, folks. That's what they love to do. On July 2nd, a video by gay sex educator Kevin Leonardo removing butt hairs using Nair cream as a visual guide was brought to the attention of the YouTube team Twitter account. During the video, Leonardo exposes his testicles and anus while demonstrating how to use the aforementioned products. Folks, you get a real-time reaction to me. I don't even know why you'd post something like that anywhere. But the YouTube, I'm not actually going to pull the video up because we don't know what's going to happen. But YouTube says, sorry to hear this. Have you already reported this content? If not, the first step is to do that here. I'm not going to show the sensitive content because that's just absolutely disgusting. I don't feel like seeing another guy's testicles nor his butt. And I'm sure none of you want to either. The video was posted on June 25th and subsequently went viral as a result of widespread disgust and backlash on Twitter. It has 14 million views, nearly 5 times as many as Leonardo's next most popular video. And according to reporting by the Publica, it has been disliked more than 167,000 times. 2 days later, Team YouTube responded to the user who brought the video to their attention and said that in reviewing the video, they did not believe it violated their community guidelines, although they did age restrict it so that only adults could see it. You have this person saying posting your genitalia on YouTube is okay, but misgendering someone isn't. And YouTube says, while we understand your frustration, it's important to us to maintain a balance between free speech and protecting our community. So content that doesn't violate our policies will remain up. Thanks for understanding. Okay. It's out there in the open what they want to do. Okay, YouTube, you misgender somebody, which happened to, again, the editor-in-chief of The Federalist. You had it happen to Jordan B. Peterson. You had it happen to the CEO or the CFO of the Babylon Bee. You had it happen to Charlie Kirk, where they said a man is a man, a woman is a woman, and they got banned for it, or at least suspended for a short period of time. But if you show your testicles to little people, little children, it's age restricted. Come on. It's a click of a button, folks. It's a click of a button. Children are seeing this stuff. They're totally for it. They're totally for the drag stuff, which is why what's amazing is you have this testicle stuff, right? Getting posted. I post something about the transgender community. It gets removed off YouTube. I mean, it's amazing how all this stuff works out. So it's okay when the LGBTQ community does it, but when I post something to give and utilize my free speech and to give my take on it, and to hound it, as I think it's disgusting for kids to see this, that stuff gets taken down. We all see what's going on here. Oh, we see really big what's going on here. That concern for free speech only exists so far. Within 24 hours, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson was informed that one of his episodes did violate YouTube's terms of service policy and would not be allowed on the site. So a conversation between Dr. Peterson and women's rights advocate Helen Joyce was taken off the platform last month after a manual review. The company determined that it would stay down because it violated YouTube's hate speech policy. What is that? That's just stuff they don't like. It goes against the agenda. It hurts their ESG score is what it is. If you didn't know, BlackRock and Vanguard have a pretty big stake in Google. And who owns YouTube? It's Google. But it goes against their terms of service, folks. So you can show your PP all you want to the kids and everybody else. But when you start pushing against the agenda, oh, now it's hate speech. And I said it time and time again, you guys, they're coming for you. If they're doing this to big people like Mr. 45, the best president in history, or one of them, Donald Trump, taking him off Twitter, removing him off YouTube and other platforms, if they're doing this to Jordan Peterson and big companies like the Daily Wire, what's stopping them from doing it to people like me? I'm like a really small bottom of the barrel YouTuber. Thank God we are building a community here, but that's why I ask people to join, become a member, hit our join tab. If you didn't know, we also have a donation tab on our website specifically because if we get shut down here, if we get removed, we got to find places, folks, to build this community because at some point I would love this to be my full-time job. I would love to be a person that can advocate for your views. All the while, we're in a culture war where we're sitting there getting our views taken down left and right on social media. The crap I wish you knew we deal with behind the scenes, man. It's head spinning. Become a member today, folks. We would love to have you. Like I said, it's not just about me. It's about the community that we're building here. It's a community of like-minded people that love this country, that love the Constitution, that love the United States of America, and people that hate it here on YouTube that want to sit there and silence you, me, and everybody else that they disagree with, man. Become a member today. God, I hope you do. We know this is probably disappointing news, YouTube community guidelines said, but it's our job to make sure that YouTube is a safe place for all. So where's that safe space? For you to show your wee-wee and pee-pee parts everywhere and talk about how transgender surgeries for minors is a great thing to have yourself castrated and your children castrated from ages, I don't know, 5th grade and up. During the conversation, Peter and Joyce discussed the effects of gender ideology on Western civilization and, quote, the dangers of a quickly growing transhumanist ideology. A 2022 study found that the number of trans-identifying teenagers has doubled, you guys, in stats that is, not in stats, but also kind of looking at society at a large. That's insane. So from 2017, there was 0.7% to 1.4% trans-identifying individuals have consistently been found to have elevated suicidal rates, and thousands of minors in the United States have been prescribed cross-sex hormones to treat their gender dysphoria, which can cause sterility and other irreversible physical changes. But what the progressive left are saying, oh, well, no, most of these are reversible, which is true, but why would you give irreversible ones? Why would you sit there and hinder the growth development of the pelvis of some of these women to where they will never be able to have children or possibly never have children or feel sexual pleasure again because you're castrating them? I mean, you could go on and on and on. It is head-bending, but you don't even have to be part of the Republican or conservative side of the aisle to be censored. A conversation between Peterson and Democratic President Robert F. Kennedy was also removed last month for allegedly spreading vaccine misinformation. Folks, if you listen to Kennedy, I highly recommend it. Just because he's a Democrat doesn't mean he's wrong about everything. Some of the stuff I actually disagree. I actually agree with him on. A lot of stuff I disagree, but he makes some really good points here regarding the pharmaceutical companies, man. Kennedy has been highly skeptical over the efficacy of the COVID vaccines and has made his opposition to the vaccine mandates and COVID-era policies a part of his campaign. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how you get Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, it's been studied. I don't know how this guy gets taken seriously all the time about everything. No, it has not. There's no long-term studies with this stuff. They just told people to get the jab. They forced them to get the jab. And now you're all of a sudden seeing a lot of healthy people going down. Just out. Other Daily Wire podcasts have also been restricted on popular video sharing platforms. The Matt Walsh Show is demonetized. You also have Candace Owen being demonetized. You have Michael Knowles being demonetized. All talking about stuff that's factual, by the way. all factual stuff. But, you know, again, when you show your PP online, they're all for it, folks. That's what they want your kids to see, and they will push it to make sure they see it. Oh, it's just a click of you have to be 18 or older. Are you 18 or older? Yeah. Wild. Let me know what you think about that one. I want to hear from you. I'm really curious. So the New York Times offers solutions for colleges to circumvent SCOTUS affirmative action ruling. You guys, they made this ruling a few days ago, right? It took them less than a few hours to already start pushing information out to these universities and colleges like Harvard and North Carolina and others about how they can circumvent the system. Harvard themselves, within a few hours of this ruling, said, oh yeah, you know, we disagree with it. We're going to follow it. But, and then they give a whole roundabout spiel of how they're going to try to, you know, maneuver around this whole thing. So obviously you have pockets of the progressive left media that love this agenda and love race. And so they have to offer possible solutions to how they can circumvent this whole thing. So the New York Times offered a possible solution on Thursday that would allow colleges to circumvent the Supreme Court's recent ruling regarding affirmative action in the admissions process. The court ruled against Harvard University and the University of North Carolina last week, as I just mentioned, stating that colleges could no longer consider race as a factor when reviewing the applications of potential students. A lot of our audience is supportive of getting rid of affirmative action. Why? Because it was racist. Conservatives, Republicans don't like racism, even though we get called racist and extremists all the time. We're not for it. We don't like it. So the New York Times offered a possible workaround that has already been adopted by the University of California's medical school. Literally a week later, they're already trying to do this stuff. Why? Because they didn't get their way. And so now they're going to find any possible way they can utilize race in their admissions process. So the program, like affirmative action, is designed to enforce diversity, and it appears to operate essentially like Communist China's social credit score, but in reverse. To build a diverse class of students, the medical school at UC Davis ranks applicants by the disadvantages they have faced. The disadvantage scale helped turn UC Davis into one of the most diverse medical schools in the U.S. Can it work nationally? New York Times asked in a tweet. So here's the tweet itself. You guys, I could care less about your race if you're a doctor, surgeon, whatever. I care about if you could do the damn job right. That's what I care about. Can you imagine you're going in for brain surgery and the guy going, yeah, I was in a diversity hire. I'd be like, what the hell? I got into med school because of my race, not because of my scores and how well I know my stuff. Like, no, I don't want you to give me brain surgery. Get away from me. Here's a question for the comment section. Please leave it down below because I'm curious as hell. If you were going in for a surgery and you asked the guy or gal, were you hired based on your merit and what you know, or were you hired based on your diversity or your race? And does that follow up into you getting into your med school based on your race as well? Would that affect, like, you at least wondering somewhat going, does this guy actually know what he's doing? He's about to cut into me. Does he know? Or she know? Oh my God. You got a guy, regardless of race, okay? Let's just play out the affirmative action case. Asian, let's say Asian pilot. Merit, guy busted his butt. Top person in this class, like knows the manual back and forth, tons of hours of flight school and everything. Deserved to get in the institution. And then you got, let's just say, other minority. Terrible grades, doesn't know the manual, doesn't have the amount of flight hours, but got in above this guy because of their race. Who would you want to fly your plane? The dude that knows a lot of crap about it, qualified, merit, good guy, versus probably another good guy, maybe great personality, but not as good grades, not as good as flying planes, but got in because he's a different race, and they got to meet a diversity quota. I don't know who I'd pick. I don't know, maybe the guy, regardless of race, that knows his bleep, that knows his shit. I was an accountant for a lot of years. I'm a white guy. Let's just say I sucked at accounting. Let's just say I sucked at taxes. And you got another guy that's very good at taxes. Who would you pick? Would you look at race and be like, oh, that guy's a black guy, so I'm going to pick him. He might not know anything, but I'm going to pick him. Or would you just pick the person that knows the most, regardless of race? I think I'm beating a dead horse with it, but I think you understand. We have fun together, folks. Look, I'm hanging out with you just as much as you're hanging out with me. I need to take a sip. Folks, we're always drinking out of the Bald Brad Show mug if you're curious. If you're on audio, folks, head over to baldbrad.com. We got these. I'm telling you, I only have one mug. It's getting a little dirty up here, but I'm always drinking coffee. Yesterday, we had warm water, but I feel so patriotic drinking out of this. I mean, look at that. Oh, my. I mean, if you're a lefty, that's why we built it this way, right? If you're a lefty, the American flag is there. If you're a righty, you got to support and look at the flag all day. You guys, they're phenomenal mugs. Some of you are buying them. Highly recommend it. A lot of you are buying the black one. I think the white. So I got a few people buying the white one now because I'm the one using it. But I might get a black one too. We'll see. So Dr. Mark Henderson, head of admissions at UC Davis Medical School, said that he implemented the program in an effort to get away from a world where most of the students were able to get into medical school came from wealthy families. What does that have to do with anything? If they're wealthy and they know their crap, again, if this is, talk about people becoming doctors, taking care of people, making serious ass decisions. I care about what's in here, not their skin. I'm sure all of you feel the same way. I'm just so baffled right now that we're in this world. We've gone backwards. We've gone in the wrong direction with all this stuff. Henderson developed what he refers to as the Socioeconomic Disadvantage Scale, SED, and explained that it gave students a score from 0 to 99 based on their individual backgrounds, financial status, parental education levels, and other personal hardships. According to the New York Times, since the court ruled against affirmative action in college admissions, some 20 schools have approached Henderson for information about his process. Gee, I wonder why. But the question remains as to whether it worked on a gender scale or whether critics on race-conscious admissions would accept it as something more substantive than a backdoor affirmative action. So it's a roundabout way. They're trying to do whatever they can, folks, to keep that whole thing diverse. I think you should be diversified based on merit and intelligence and stuff like that. That's what it's all about. Let me know, folks, what you think about that in the comment section below. Interesting take here. I haven't read this article, but high schoolers are now being suspended for misgendering their peers, other students. And what they did was subjected them to restorative justice re-education training. If you want to get like a crash course on restorative justice, I've actually seen this destroy schools from the inside out. Like personally with my own eyes, I've been in schools where they didn't have restorative justice. I'd come back a couple years later after they implemented it, completely destroyed the school. Like behavioral issues like you've never seen before, like something you would expect to see out of a movie in Hollywood. Throwing chairs, locking the teacher out of the room, cussing left and right, screaming at teacher, throwing stuff. I've seen it all. Anyways, restorative justice in a nutshell is if you do something to somebody else, whether it's bullying, you get in a fight, or you do something, you have to come around in a circle and do a whole kumbaya and talk about your feelings and apologize to the person is really in a nutshell, in a holistic view, what that is. So nobody gets in trouble. You don't get suspended. You don't get detention. Nothing happens to you if you're the one that committed some sort of harm or you were rude or whatever it may be, disrespectful to the other person or group. Nothing happens to you. You just have to sit down and talk about your feelings, which I'm sure you can tell when there's no repercussions, things go south and things go bad. So 2 California high school students were suspended and subjected to restorative justice re-education training after they were accused of misgendering a peer. I want to be very clear. I hate bullying. I was bullied severely in elementary school. I got my ass kicked so much my teeth were crooked, and that is not an exaggeration. These teeth, granted, these 3 front teeth are fake from hockey, but my grandma had to pay for braces, and I had to do some serious dental stuff where actually inside of my gums, way too much TMI, but I got like holes in my gums up here from my braces and all the stuff they had to do. I was severely bullied up until probably halfway through middle school, like 7th grade. And then I started playing hockey. Nobody messed with me. I hate bullying. So what they're doing, if they are going after the LGBTQ community and purposefully misgendering them or just being a-holes, I am not for that. Just because I disagree with the ideology of the transgender community, I don't think you should be rude and harmful in terms of what you're doing to children and bullying them in the school system. That is not where I'm at. And many of you know, as an audience here, that I'm harsh, and I think a lot of us are harsh on what the LGBTQ community is doing to our children. But that doesn't mean I'm an advocate for being an a-hole and bullying people. No way. I am harsh on the Democrat Party for them targeting our children. But I don't think that we should be advocating for going out and purposefully misgendering people. Why would you do that? I'm not for that. But if you accidentally do it because you're looking at a biological male and they're looking like they're trying to dress up as something else, and you go, oh, sir, because that's what you're used to calling a man, you're doing that maybe just off of happenstance, or that's what you're used to. But, this whole thing here, I don't agree with bullying. It's just at the end of the day what I'm trying to say. So according to an email obtained by the outlet, Herbert Hoover High School's former principal, Jennifer Earle, suspended 2 students who she claimed misgendered another student and then ran away when a teacher tried to intervene. The email sent by Earle on May 24th, 2022, describes suspending the students for 5 days and conducting restorative justice training. Quote, I suspended 2 students for 5 days each today and will be conducting restorative justice with students and teacher for the following. The students not enrolled in his class entered the classroom one at a time and called him. Okay, so it looks like they're misgendering the teacher. The teacher responded, it is blank. After doing so, they ran away. So you kind of see this a lot with our youth. They are so disrespectful to teachers, you guys. I'm not saying teachers are always respectful to students, but we've grown away from showing respect to teachers, where if you look at a lot of other countries, the teacher status is so through the roof, it is head bending. Like, they would never do anything disrespectful to their teacher because they look at them as a wealth of knowledge and somebody they can actually learn from. Whereas nowadays, I get it. There's these activist teachers in the classroom that have to ruin everything. But when you have students like this that are just doing things because for whatever reason, maybe they were raised wrong or whatever it is, then now they're just going after teachers too, which I don't agree with. I don't think teachers should go after students. I don't think students go after students. Students should go after teachers. We need to just, get along and be a bunch of mensches and treat people with respect as much as we can. So interviewing them, they admitted to being curious about a transgender person. I asked my teacher how he wanted to handle it, if he wanted me to just teach them about misgendering or would like me to speak about being trans. He asked me to educate on transgender. Again, in the state of California, recently I found there was an act that's implemented where you have to teach about gender identity, gender ideology in classrooms. I think, don't quote me, I think it's history and English that you're mandated to teach it. But as you know, other teachers are pushing this in other states and just all around the country on your children. Earle also noted that it was well received from students and parents, and she planned to have the students attend restorative justice trainings after suspension. Glendale Unified School District's website states restorative justice practice is a framework for building community and for responding to challenging behavior through authentic dialogue. As I said, in a holistic view, it's where you talk about your feelings, you apologize to the person, nobody actually gets in trouble. Here, it was interesting that they actually did suspension and then brought them in for restorative justice. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally there is no suspension. You just walk in and talk about your feelings. Oh, I'm sorry, I feel so bad. And then you go and bullying them later. Nothing actually gets resolved. Students must sit in a circle with their peers, ask barrier-breaking questions, and share stories to build community. When there is harm or conflict within an established community, restorative responses help to repair the damage. This is done through processes that bring harmed and harmers together to address root causes on the conflict, support accountability for those responsible, and promote healing for impacted individuals. As a result, community is once again restored, bringing back a sense of belonging to all. A person for this school district, the Glendale one, told Fox News Digital that students are not suspended for accidentally misgendering a classmate. So they say that. I've heard completely different stories. I've actually been in school systems where if you misgender somebody as an educator, there is a high probability that you will be fired for doing that. And what I've talked about a lot here, and I've finally seen other people bring awareness to this, to all the way from ABL show Anthony Brian Logan to you have Officer Brandon Tatum, as well as their names, Dinesh D'Souza is finally talking about this, how you can walk into a classroom and they will change their braids or bracelet, and that braid or bracelet, the color on it or the type of bracelet or braid would signify their pronoun or what they want to be categorized at in terms of gender. And what you could have happen is they'll leave the classroom and they'll come back with a different braid on a different bracelet. And you might never know, by the way, because you're trying to do your job. You're teaching 34 kids. You're doing mathematics or something that takes brain power to do. And you're not so much focused on their gender. You're focused on the mathematics so you don't screw up. So in their notes that's wrong, and that affects the tests. You're trying to teach them. So again, this whole idea that we're all hyper-focused on gender and all these other things. No, I'm focused on making sure your son or daughter does well in mathematics. That's what I care about. I want to do my job. I don't want to talk to them about sex. I don't want to talk to them about gender. I don't want to talk to them about all that stuff. I want to do my mathematics. I want to do a good job and make sure they're successful because that's what I was hired for. not all this other stuff. So you got the stuff being pushed. Partially it's true, partially it's not. I don't like bullying. I don't think people should be going out screwing around with teachers. I don't think people should be purposefully misgendering somebody. And now if you're being forced to do it, there's a whole different story, which is what's happening as well. I mean, this is a way bigger conversation about force and not force. That's why Jordan B. Peterson of the Daily Wire got involved on this many, many years ago. That's how he actually probably became famous. But let me know. Do you think that you should purposefully go out and misgender somebody? Like, let's create two scenarios here. You have, I don't know, let's say a 7th grade kid, clearly a biological male dressed as a girl. Would you as an adult go out of your way and say, hey, little boy? Or would you just kind of circumvent that by asking them for their name? I would just ask them for their name. I'm not going out of my way to hurt somebody's feelings and be a jerk. Now, say you have an adult that's clearly a biological male and they're dressed as a woman. Would you say, hey, sir? Or would you say, hey, ma'am? Or would you ask them for their name? I would probably personally just ask them for their name. I'm not trying to create issues. I'm not trying to create harm or problems. And by harm, I mean possibly pissing that person off and, I don't know, them pulling a gun or a knife or trying to beat my ass. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to create issues. I want to be left alone. I'm one of those old school kind of conservative Republican guys, libertarians that go, I leave you alone, you leave me alone, we go our merry way. But what would you do? What would you do? I think a lot of you would probably just ask for their name, not try to create problems, Let me know. I'm curious to hear your answer and response all that in the comment section. Again, if you haven't already, pick up yourself a copy of Trojan Horse on the Left, Destroying America. We're not done yet, folks. We got a bonus clip for y'all, just highlighting our products. We got t-shirts. We also got mugs. I did look at the hats, you guys. A lot of you like the hat that I wear. Just to let you know, this is previously the hats that we were selling. It's pretty close to what I'm wearing, right? It's not the exact same. It is flex fit. I don't wear the snapbacks. And there obviously is an American flag on the front of it. I made this myself. So this is actually a patch. I don't have the other patches with me, but it does come off. This is actually Velcro. I'm not going to take it off. You guys, if I made these and sold them to you, it'd be really expensive because the hat alone is probably like $60 or something like that. And then the patches itself I'd have to buy. So if you want like $120 hat or something like that, let me know. I'll make it for you. But I don't think many of you are going to buy that hat. The hats that are offered in Teespring just aren't that good. They lost their license agreement with this hat, so I just have one more left. This was a mock-up, so it's not good quality. The hat itself is good quality, but the print on it was kind of messed up. But that's a whole other thing. So I looked in the hats. I know a lot of you like the hat, but I made it myself. So with that being said, our last bonus clip of the day is Piers Morgan's Uncensored. I haven't seen this yet. It's getting a lot of clicks and views. The female Andrew Tate Pearl Davis on why she thinks women shouldn't vote. I'm really curious what she has to say. I know who Pearl is. I don't know her personally, but I've seen her stuff. Without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
OK, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about. But overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men. OK, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote? Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, you know, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. You know, before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, you know, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
Well, what's that got to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have two votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped about
No, do you know when it's sort of
I know.
No, it's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, you know, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean, at
allegedly?
The time, well,
what do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, you know, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Write.
Yes, they
so
were. That's incorrect. The first female
about?
property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made.
Yes, it was.
Self-made. Yes, it was.
This is a really random point, but there is a myth out there in terms of those that have become millionaires. We've talked a lot about this on the show. It's just a fun tip to kind of debunk a myth. It's not really so much about gender and women's right to vote, but second biggest study that's ever been done on 10,000 millionaires says that the majority of millionaires, like the vast majority of millionaires, whatever inheritance they received never pushed them into the category of becoming a millionaire within itself. And a good portion of that never received an inheritance in the first place. So there's an idea out there that people were millionaires because they received some sort of inheritance that was passed down through their family lineage. The vast majority, I think it's well over, almost like 80% of millionaires, maybe even higher than that, whatever inheritance they received, never classified them to become a millionaire in the first place. So I thought that was a fun fact, but we'll let them continue.
She was yes, she did not inherit it.
What law permitted that?
What?
What law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, you know, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
You know, your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
well, I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't made the point yet. Okay. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives. They have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers. And they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the...
feminists are saying.
Well, then, okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring. Because I don't equate for... I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go apply to be on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Go be on the front lines of the military. And then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely not. You said you were a volleyball.
Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think that I can do those jobs.
I don't have more strength than the average man.
I'm not going to take your right away to do it.
I don't have more strength than the average man, but again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be equal.
But you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate And the average marriage
Why is that all
8
down to the
years.
women, though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why
But
feminists ruin it?
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish
Yeah.
that first? So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think,
Hang
on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely.
So she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't.
You might not like them.
But I'm here to challenge
But isn't she
them.
exercising her right as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. Don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering
I would actually
firm
love to
hiring.
see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
No, seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me,
I'm
I'm
doing
saying
the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate, where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in agency, so I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand...
I'd like to say, even before the 1920s,
do you know what I mean?
Women could speak openly. This idea that, women couldn't talk the last 500 years, there have been women throughout
history... I know, but the American state education system has failed before, and it's failing now.
There have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea women could never do it.
Do you know what I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have abortions, you say that they have STDs.
The question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in that.
And this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive? It's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obesity.
It's too much. Excuse me, it's too much. We definitely moved really far away from building an argument, if there were one, with women having the right to vote. I'm curious on what you all think. Let me know in the live chat as well, the comment section. I'll obviously answer. I think women should have the right to vote. I understand what she's trying to do and the message she's trying to push, because I do think modern day feminists have done a lot of harm to this country as well as our social fabric. From what I'm listening and what I know about Pearl, is she's trying to equate the idea that because men tend to work those hard labor jobs, construction, plumbing, carpentry, the oil rigs, whatever it may be, that because they are the glue that holds this country together in terms of infrastructure and just kind of running things, that they should be the only ones to have the right to vote because of the impact that they're having on how the country is ran in the first place. I don't agree with that. There's a lot of issues with saying something like that. Just because you have a majority that does something and allows something to run, the whole prospect is that everybody has that right, men and women, that we were all created equal. So if we're all created equal, everybody should have an equal representation in terms of the right to vote, which is why we have the Electoral College and we don't go with the majority of the vote either. I understand her messaging and I understand her push. I just don't think that that messaging that she primarily has in a holistic view rolls into women not having the right to vote. I don't agree with that. I think women are intelligent. I think women are strong in their own right. I don't think they're stronger than men physically. I think anybody that knows anything about biology, that tends to be false. There are women that could beat my ass, but in totality, that just tends to not be true. I'm really curious on what you have to think or have to say about this. I don't think she built a good argument for herself. I'm surprised that there wasn't a more fleshed out argument for her saying that women should not have the right to vote, especially when I would imagine you're coming on his show knowing that you need to support that thinking. Really rough show, funny as hell. I mean, going on about people being fat and like women working on oil rigs and all this stuff. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand the whole premise of it all. I just, it's a bonus clip. It's fun to end the week off. I want your take on something. I don't want to get burned out doing YouTube. Again, this is not my job. I would like it to be at some point. I like to do this full time. But, I work multiple jobs, right? I have my full-time job. I'm a referee. I referee quite a bit during the season. I have other kind of things I work on as well. And I don't want to be burnt out, which is why we do Supernatural Saturdays. One, I love doing ghosts. I love exploring the paranormal, the unexplained, the supernatural, which is why we do it. And it's a fun way to react and just hang out as a community and kind of look for those little gems, needle in the haystack that we can talk about and go, oh, that one actually looks legit. That one might be real. I do that because it kind of gives me a day to relax and just, again, get away from the politics, the craziness of the world. But, and also to kind of have somewhat of a weekend for me to do my errands, to me to do things around the house or things that I need to take care of. And I would like to just get the show where it is at now. I think our viewers have gone dramatically up doing an hour-long episode, hour-long podcast. You guys clearly like it. This is the true intention of the show. If you go back to our videos that we did 2 years ago, this was how the show was ran. It was about an hour long. And that's what we always wanted it to be. And I think we finally got it there. And I think we're going to continue to do hour-long podcasts and just have one episode uploaded a day. With that, what I would like to do on Sundays, before I said, hey, Sundays we can do a sprinkling of politics and we'll kind of talk about the headlines that we weren't able to get to throughout the week. What I would like to do is take bits of the show throughout the week and upload them kind of throughout the day on Sunday. So like every 3 hours, there'll be a clip of the show that was ran through the week that I can upload. For example, the clip that we just showed of Piers Morgan, upload on Sunday. There was a clip that we saw, I think it might have been from Piers Morgan's Uncensored or Laura Ingraham's show, of a guy basically destroying the idea of kind of slavery and reparations. Upload that, say at noon on Sunday or something like that. Would you guys be interested in that? Or do you want me to do an episode on Sunday where we go over the headlines that didn't make it into the show? I want your feedback because the regulars on the show are the ones that are always here watching, and I want you to enjoy it just as much as I enjoy doing it. I'm looking to kind of find avenues which makes it easier for me on the weekend and kind of gives me a time to relax and kind of do fun stuff on the outside. I love doing the show. We will always do the show, but would love your feedback. So please take just a few minute or so to write in the comment section, not the live chat, because live chat doesn't roll over in the comment section, and give me your feedback. Would love to hear from you, especially the regulars. With that being said, join us, become a member today, become a true American patriot, get yourself a mug and hat, well, we don't have hats, but shirts and hoodies, and then our book, Trojan Horse. Folks, it's a good read. I'm telling you, a lot of you are liking it. How the left is destroying America. You're seeing what they're doing in real time. And we'll be here tomorrow for Supernatural Saturdays, and we'll upload clips for now on Sundays until I get feedback from the community and see what they want to do. So with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Bo Brad Show.